Welcome back to the Country Minute Podcast. I'm James Shotwell, and today I'm speaking with the one and only Cooper Allen, somebody who is proving yet again that going independent might be the way of the future in country music. Cooper Allen has been rising on people's radars over the last couple of years, not just here in the United States, but as a global talent. He's actually got a pretty impressive following in Australia and New Zealand, which we'll get to in a little bit. But for right now, I want to tell you I love what Cooper is doing. He's found a way to connect with people through social media. I mean, the guy has like 15 million followers, and that is not an exaggeration. But in his music, he's used that platform to tell stories through song that are reaching people in ways that a lot of artists have been unable to do, and I had to talk to him about it. So we went to the Intersection in Grand Rapids, Michigan earlier this month, and thankfully they let us use some unused space to record this conversation. We get to talk for about 20 minutes about all things Cooper Allen. We talk about the new music he's been teasing, the album that he's working on. Yes, you heard that right, the album that he's working on. Whether or not the songs that you've heard will make that record, how he decides that global stardom that we talked about a little bit ago, as well as how he balances all of this with just being a regular guy married to a woman that he loves on the road constantly. Now on this night, Cooper's playing to a sold out audience, and that's the kind of thing that's happening all across the country right now. But if you have a chance to see him live, definitely do it, because it's one of my favorite shows we've seen this year. But for right now, I want to tell you a couple of quick things. Number one, Cooper Allen's music is everywhere. Make sure you check it out. Make sure you follow him online. Also, make sure that you like and subscribe to this podcast. Whether or not you love the guest each episode, we are constantly pumping out new conversations about country music with people who I feel have really great stories to tell, and I hope you'll agree by the time the conversation is over. We've got a lot more coming, and I cannot wait to share it with you, so I don't want you to miss any of it. Make sure that you like, subscribe, rate, share, whatever you can do to get the word out. And if you aren't following us on social media for some reason, do that as well. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with the one and only Cooper Allen. Here in Grand Rapids, Michigan, with our good friend, Cooper Allen. Actually, we just met. That was kind of presumptuous.
But I can feel it already.
I think we might get
great friend.
Yeah. How's your week going so far?
Great week. We were in Lexington, Kentucky last night. Been looking forward to this Grand Rapids show for a long time now, so pumped to be up here.
How did Manchester Music Hall treat you?
Oh, it's great. It's a great place.
We love. That's where she's from. That's like our home away from home. We're a Lexington-based family, baby.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, go Cats. I'm not a Kentucky fan. I'm a Tar Heel, so
that's fine.
I kind of hate Kentucky, but I hate Duke more.
You got to share the blue.
Does.
You got to share the blue. Yeah, I get you.
Our shade is a bit more appealing, but
oh man, starting off. Whoa. I thought we were going to be our new enemy. Cooper Allen is here to talk to us.
Better than Louisville Red.
Yes, 110%. No Cardinal fans here, brother. I've been excited about this because you've been releasing so much new music lately. I can barely keep up. Not releasing, teasing. Let's say teasing.
Yeah,
I think every week for the last month, I think you've put out at least one song, something, being like, "What do you think?"
Yeah,
Casually.
It's a great way to like honestly test stuff because you cut a bunch of songs, write a bunch of songs, get a bunch of demos, and it's like, do y'all like this? If they don't, then you're just like, okay, maybe this isn't the time for this one. All right. If they like it, sweet.
Is there one of these, like, let's say 5 or 6 songs that you've seen a lot of resonance with where you're like, this might be the one? Because you keep pushing them out, but I'm sure I was telling her, I was like, he's keeping numbers somewhere where he's like 15,000 likes on this one, you know?
Yeah, it's pretty easy to tell which ones work and don't. This Holy Ghost song is
it just Holy Ghost?
I think just Holy Ghost.
Okay, you don't put the title, so I'm always I try to guess.
Got to guess.
Yeah. Last line might be it. So
yeah, it's called Ballad of a Found Heart, number 33.
So tell me about this Holy Ghost. Where's it come from?
Yeah, it's kind of a religious song mixed with the love song, and just kind of like how holy that right person can be for you. And it's you kind of need both those things in your life, and I feel like I have that with my wife and my faith. So felt like an authentic song to me, and felt like something that resonated with people. So that has kind of felt like one where people are kind of gravitating to it a little bit. Got some great reactions on some other stuff. I think we're still writing and trying to kind of round out this record. So we're all working towards the debut album here in a few months. So yeah.
Well, if I could poke about one, you posed one. I want to say it's called Hard Acre.
I love that song, man.
I love that song too.
Yeah.
I was like, you've heard, Dirt Cheap, but have you heard about the Hard Acre yet?
Yeah.
It's a nice spin on that. When did you make that? When did you write that initially?
Oh, we wrote that. It was last year, I think in like November. Okay. I would have to go look. I wrote it with Joseph Patton, Derek Barr, Zach Kale, 3 great dudes. And that's that could be, other than my wedding song, that could be my favorite song I've ever written.
Okay.
I really like it. I love a heartfelt piano ballad. So,
well, is it more nerve-wracking to push out a song where you kind of have that like vested interest, where you're like, I hope this is like, because as a guy who makes a lot of video content, I know what it's like to put out a video where like, this is the one, and then the next morning be like, I guess it wasn't. Like,
dude, I almost hate posting songs that I like
for that reason.
or like really, really like.
Yeah.
Because part of me knows, like, if I think this is the best song ever, it's not going to work.
It never happens that way.
Yeah.
It's always like, and when you hear people tell their stories, they're always like, this is the one that almost didn't make the record, and now it's diamond. And you're just like,
Living on a Prayer was not supposed to be on, Slippery When Wet.
Example.
And it's one of the biggest songs ever. It's
oh,
crazy.
man. So is this a method that you think you're going to, I'm wondering if it's a method just to market yourself, or is there really an album coming and you're trying to pick those tracks?
I really am trying to pick it, because I think we cut like 10 songs, and I thought all of them would go on the record.
Okay.
Started teasing. About half got the reaction that, I thought they kind of deserved, and the other half didn't. So it's like, okay, maybe we got half. Maybe we need to keep chasing this other half.
So maybe not a wall-in length album for you.
Yeah, no, it'll be like 10 to 15.
10 to 15?
Yeah, I don't think I could bust out 37.
2.5 Cooper Allens in this one record. It's
Exactly.
Fine. It's fine. I think that's a good measure. It's a good measure.
Yeah, if I had 85 number one quality songs, I'd probably put out an album of 85 songs. So
Well,
I don't blame them.
Well, you said something a minute ago that I really love. You said something about how relatable and honest you thought the song was that you were working on. And I was telling her on the way here today that I was like, I think that's the Cooper Allen appeal, is like, when I hear one of your songs, they're just so earnest in a way where it's like, you could be swearing, you can be praising the Lord. I'm buying it. Whatever it is. Is that just always been a gift you have with your songwriting, or did it take a while to find out how to toe that line it's almost tongue in cheek how honest you are at times, but it works. So
Yeah.
there are a lot of songs I haven't heard where it doesn't work, where you're like playing it for somebody like, this isn't too honest, Cooper. Too honest.
It's I really only know how to write, what I know and what I go through and what I, think about. I can't write a very good breakup song because it's not authentic to me. But I can write a good love song, or a story about what somebody else is going through, or something that kind of gets into mental health, or there's so many things to talk about. And my approach has always been be as authentic to myself and what I want to say as I can. And it might work sometimes, it might not work sometimes, but I think what never works is not being true to yourself.
I would agree. You've done a good job of doing all these different types. Like, you teased a song yesterday about bullying. And I was like, I haven't heard a bullying song since what is it, Alyssa Lies, from like the early 2010s or whatever that song is. Yeah. I was like, and people always say like that song is so powerful. I'm like, there's not a lot of school bullying songs. Here comes one yesterday. Were you a bullied kid?
Luckily, no. And I went to a pretty small school, and we were all, at least I thought, pretty tight with each other. So
fair enough.
But it's just like, I don't believe in like softening generations and like all that stuff. But like, treating how you treat people does really matter, and that can have a really big effect on people. And you might not see it if that's not something you struggle with. But if there's a kid that's struggling with something and is getting just tortured all the time at school, then like that's not going to lead to something good. And
Absolutely.
So that story is kind of an extreme case, but it's something to think about.
Well, you said something recently about how much you love songwriting and that you think of its role in country music. So I'm always curious, like, is there an early story-driven country song that you can remember from your childhood, whether or not it scarred you, but like, what's the one you think of when you're like, story songs from my youth that stick with you still to this day?
Bro, so many good story songs. We were actually at that Opry 100 show the other night, and so they were playing a lot of like old big hits as well as some new stuff. And you just realize how many story songs are, really important to country music. I think Three Wooden Crosses.
Whew, I was crying.
Could be the best.
It might be. I didn't think the other night when I heard her singing it, I was like, this is the first time I've really considered it might be the best. I don't even know if it would have made my top 3 previously, but then I was like, all of a sudden I was like, I don't know, man. This is like one of those.
And that bridge is like when it all flips around and like you realize how it all works together. It's like that's awesome, and it's so catchy and it's hooky and the melody's incredible. It's like, that's kind of the struggle with the story song, is still making it catchy and something people want to, listen to. What's your favorite?
Oh man, I don't know. I think a lot about the songs that make me cry that I don't ever want to listen to again. Like, you ever heard that old 70s song Teddy Bear about the truck driver with the paralyzed kid he's talking to?
Oh no.
Oh my gosh.
But that
Look this up
sounds
later. It's called Teddy Bear.
absolutely heartbreaking.
It's about a truck driver. It's Red Sovine. It's from the 70s. It was a #1 song at country radio. It's 5 minutes long. And it's
Yeah.
about this truck driver who is on the CB. He starts talking to a kid who's at home. His dad was a truck driver and he died.
Oh,
and
my
he
God.
can't see him. It's Christmas time. By
Yeah.
the end of the song, the truck driver pulls up to his house to give him a ride in the truck.
Oh,
it was so
man.
popular they made a sequel to it years later.
Yeah.
but
Teddy Bear 2.
Literally, Teddy Bear rides again or something like that.
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
things got worse for Teddy Bear than
Yeah.
just being like without a dad. And
Oh,
it's-
God.
But Red Sovine did that like in the 70s. He was one of those guys that it was just a song. He was just talking. Like, he was just breaking your heart narratively over like country music.
Yeah.
And they made it go #1 at radio. It's just one of those things like, what? That would never happen to me.
Might listen to that late at night when I'm feeling emotional. Maybe not right before a show.
When you need to cry. It's one of those things I reach for when I'm like, I could use a cry.
Yeah.
Just a little emotional damage.
I gotta cry sometimes. Come on.
So you did do Opry 100. Did you love it? Was it just like such an experience? I would be
Oh, dude.
stargazing all night.
Yeah, as a lifelong fan, it's like just to be there in that room, and like I wasn't part of it. I went and took a picture on a red carpet and sat and watched, and it was like, this is incredible. It's Alan Jackson and Reba and Garth and Trisha and Luke Combs and Dirks and Jamie Johnson. It's like the list was just on and on and
And that's
on.
just on stage. Then you look over and it's like Ronnie Millsap is just sitting
Yeah.
like there on the aisle, and you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and Post Malone's like right up there.
Yeah,
and
you can see Post Malone in the distance. You're like,
Yeah.
same room.
dude, the best thing might have been the Warren Treaty did that gospel tribute.
They're from here, so great. Pull.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Also, great people, by the way. And that was like, it made my wife just looked at each other. We were like, oh my God, this is unbelievable.
Speaking of your wife, you said something a second ago that I think a lot about as a married guy as well, and now a dad, where it's like, I'm the same way where I write and create from like what I know, right? It is funny that I can still hear like a new Morgan Wallen song and be like, yeah, my heart's broke that way. Isn't it
Yeah.
funny that you can relate to a song, but you can't create something that you don't relate to necessarily? But you hear it on
Absolutely.
the opposite way, and you're like, I love this. It's so toxic, but I will be listening to this all summer. You know, it's
Yeah.
not gonna.
Yeah, it's like I have felt like this at some point in my life.
Yeah, I
it could have
guess
been with a
it's-
girl, or it could have been with another relationship in your life. But like, you go all these things you go through. That's what makes life interesting and cool.
Well, how are you doing finding time to be Cooper Allen outside of all this? You've got you do social media so well. Now you're on tour, sold out shows. I know your wife travels with you at least sometimes. So
Yeah.
what's it like trying to find that balance?
Man, it's that's hard, and I'm really bad at it.
Okay.
To be honest
I was
with
hoping that you could help me. So
Yeah, no, I would not be like me, because my escape is trying to watch Carolina basketball, and my God, it's been a bad year. So it's just like my
you're
mood
talking to
is
Detroit
here.
Pistons fans here. Yeah, we understand.
Yeah, I'm an adopted Lions fan, so
Well,
that
yeah, at
was
least you had that.
well, the playoff was that was just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, welcome to Michigan sports.
Yeah, not my best sports year. That usually like lifts me up out of some BS.
But that's your normal escape.
Yeah,
I
sports
love that.
for sure.
Okay, I love that so much. Well, let's talk about this tour. I know that he's not with us tonight. Spencer Crandall's ill at the moment. But you guys have known each other for a minute.
Yeah.
And you guys are two people who have kind of proven you can do this whole country thing on your own. So I'm wondering, like, how did you first connect? What's the story? What's the meet cute of you and Spencer Crandall?
I think we met.
Or is it a DM situation?
It was not a DM situation. I think it was a 615 house situation
Okay,
where we like met,
okay. Is this
did
a
some
Chris
videos
situation?
together. Yeah,
It's
yeah,
a Chris situation?
Rudiger led situation.
Shout out, Chris. There you
Yeah,
go.
the best connector in Nashville,
Yeah.
man. But yeah, Spence and I met, and just a great dude. On top of
Wonderful.
the music and the voice and all that stuff, he's just another one of those authentic dudes, and not
Wife
afraid
guy?
to be himself.
Big wife guy.
Yeah.
Loves love.
He loves love. It's
Loves
beautiful.
love. That's what we're looking for, man.
And God, the guy can sing, man. It's awesome.
Nothing more annoying than a good guy that can also sing so well. I mean,
I know.
you wouldn't know anything about that.
And he played college
you're the
football.
same guy
It's
right
like,
there.
some people have it all.
Some people have it all, sir. You're playing a sold out show. You're an independent country artist right now. You're doing the thing. I mean, I've been here this month for artists on major labels that aren't in the same position you are. So like, I think it's going pretty well to be Cooper Allen right now.
Well, thank you. It's gotten off to a good start, and so grateful for everything, and so happy with where we are. But obviously, you want to keep growing it and stuff. So it's kind of twofold. Pumped to be where we're at, and hope we keep growing.
What's the next horizon then for Cooper in your mind? Where do you want to go next? Like, what's like the next step? Not like I know like Everest, but like what's like the next tier? Where are you going?
Yeah, I think putting out a record that feels 100% me, and exactly what I want to do. That's probably my next step. trying to grow the shows a little bit, trying to, we're going back to Canada later this year. I want to go to the UK. I want to do a big Australia thing next year, try to do the international stuff.
That's the last thing I really have to talk to you about is this Australia thing. I always wonder, because we surprisingly do pretty well in Australia too. How did it start? Like, when did you first notice you were doing so well in Australia?
Well, if you go and look at Spotify for artists, you can see like your top streaming cities. And like, obviously, the US, just because it has more people, is my top country. But if you go city by city, it's like, I think Brisbane, Melbourne, Sydney are my top 3. And then 4 is like Oslo, Norway.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is wild. But yeah, it's just, they love country music over there. They're such great people. They're such great fans. And it's not just me. They love everybody.
It's becoming a big thing there. But like, as an independent artist, something clicked. And you just, was it, I'm curious if it was just one day you were looking at the stats and you're like, wow, Australia's a lot higher than I thought it would be. Or did was there a press moment, or like, do you know what was this kickoff?
Yeah, it was looking at the data, but also I think I made a post like, this is from Australian people. Do y'all want us to come tour over there? And I got, the most comments on a touring post I've ever gotten and likes. And I'm like, this feels like it really could.
And then it actually happened.
Yeah.
There had to be a fear on the plane where you're like, what if this is the biggest troll ever? Like I get there and they're like, I don't know what a Cooper Allen is.
Yeah. Or like, what if they like somehow saw like a bunch of video, like what if they don't like the songs in my set? What if they think I just do mashups? Like it was a
they think you're a mashup guy. I hadn't even thought about that, but I guess there are people who at least at some point have ended up being like, why aren't there the Usher mashup? Why aren't you doing the Usher mashup?
Well, especially starting out, I remember like some people would leave a review online like, I thought he was going to do mashups the whole time. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of understand.
Fair.
You
can't even be mad.
That is fair.
You're like, you know what? I do that. It makes sense.
Yeah.
That's fair. I never even thought about that, but wow, how far you've come.
Well, we're trying.
I look at your comments now, though, like the songs you've been teasing, and people are sharing the kind of stories that you're like, that's going to keep me up at night. You know what I mean? Like you talk about your grandfather. People will share the saddest and happiest story you've ever heard in your life. And then you're like, I carry that now.
Yeah.
So thanks.
Exactly.
And maybe it'll inspire the next song.
Exactly.
Maybe. So can you tell us, you talk about an album that's come together. Before I let you out of here, what is, when do you think we might hear that record?
I think
it's been a couple months since the last single, so I felt like maybe we're getting there.
I think that Holy Ghost song will come out sometime in April, and then I think the full record probably like June.
June, okay.
I would think June or July.
All right.
Kind of depends on how the next little bit of writing goes, and the thing is we're not putting like a deadline. It has to be done by this date. It's going to be done when it feels right, which I love that. I love how my team thinks that way and lets me think that way.
Are you a guy are you counting how many of the songs that we've already heard will make this record versus are you trying to fill it with stuff we haven't heard before?
I bet like 5 that y'all have heard will make the record.
We can probably take some guesses if people are out there.
Yeah.
In the comments, you want to take some guesses about what that might be?
It's probably the teasers with the most views, to be honest.
Don't ruin it. We're having a good time, Cooper. Yeah. It's a game. Go play.
Hardacre for sure. That one's going to be on there.
That's good. I like that. Well, Cooper, thank you for taking time to talk to me today, man. This has been so fun.
Dude, thank you, bro.
I love meeting a wife guy. I love meeting an independent country guy. And I don't know how you did all that you're doing, but it is an inspiration to see you do it.
Well, thank you, man. It takes people being cool along the way. So thank you. And
Well,
the Chase Matthew hat is badass.